Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to episode 32 of Living the Amazing Life podcast with yours truly, Coach Tim Harrell. And I'm so excited to have my good friend, Dr. Coach, Pastor Dwight Riddick. Come on, y'all. Come on, give him a hand. Give him a hand, everybody.
Thanks so much.
All right.
Glad to be here.
Thank you so much for taking time out to be with me today. Man, when I see you and I see you on social media, you're a superstar. I'm telling you, you're a superstar when it comes to impacting people. And I see you all over social media. I see what you do at your church and with your family and how you impact so many different lives. People who come across your path, people who connect with you, they're never the same when they leave your presence. And so before we jump into this, I want to give Dr. Coach, Pastor Dwight Riddick, give him a few minutes to kind of share who is Doctor.
Well, first of all, thanks so much for having me.
Okay.
It's definitely good to be here. And I may just kind of answer the question or make, answer to the statement you just made. It is definitely all God, first of all. And then two, I remember a time where I really didn't post a lot what was happening. And I noticed over time that as I posted some things, it inspired others to do things.
Right.
And so now for me, it is not posting it to show it off, not posting so that people know, but posting to hopefully create some ripple in the ways where someone else will see something and say, hey, maybe I can try to do something like that or connect and do something. And as a result, that's been my prayer that, more people do more things in kingdom, in ministry, and in marketplace.
Right.
Because I do think that, a lot of times we miss that. Like we do a lot of ministry, which we should. But I really feel like the marketplace is missing Christianity and missing the message in some ways. And so if you had to summarize me, I think that's it. I am out here trying to maximize the potential of others on this mission to see Jesus. My goal is to bridge gaps. I love that. I love taking something and someone or some organization or some group that would not have ordinarily worked with another person or group. And figuring out a way where they can see their similarities.
Wow.
I love that. I love to be able to bring, sanctuary into secular, hip hop into hymns, corporate into Christianity, like all of that, man. That just kind of drives me. And at the end of the day, I really just want people to be their best version of themselves. Yeah. That's it. And
you do that. I just watching afar off, you really do that well. And just to, there's so many things that you do well. You're not only a coach, a pastor, you're an author, you're a motivational speaker. I had a chance to see you and your wife do something with Eric Thomas. Yeah. Now you're working with the number one guru of motivational speaking, Eric Thomas, which I'm a big fan. Yeah. Listen to him every morning. How was that? How was that being a part of that when you and your wife got I think you got a little trophy or something?
Yeah, we did. We got a speaking award actually. Okay. For number of speaking engagements and dollars given, for speaking. And so let me just say that Eric Thomas, there's a group actually called Next Level Speakers. I'm familiar with them. It is Eric Thomas, Jeremy Anderson, Inky Johnson are kind of the headliners. Yes. And then there's some coaches in there that are phenomenal. And I think in addition to enhancing how we speak and where we get to speak, it was a mind shift. It was, they're really big on mindset. They're really big on thinking big. They're really big on who can you help. Right. And I think the one message that probably echoed louder than anything is anybody can make $1 million, but can you become $1 million person? Wow. That's good. That's good. They are big on like how are your relationships? What's your spiritual discipline? Are you working out? What's your diet? And if you make the $1 million but don't do any of those things, then none of it matters. Wow. And so I think for that reason, the whole Eric Thomas component has been huge. He is probably the most passionate, but compassionate person I've ever met. Right. Because we have some coaches in the program that are just hard. Like, you did that wrong. Do this right. Right. But he always kind of corrects in a loving way. He's free with information, very down to earth. I've never seen someone of his status just kind of walk around. He'll do workshops with us in socks, he just, in his own space. And it's kind of like, that's what you're gonna do. But he's confident in who he is. And then he passes that on. So he lets us be ourselves. And so, between myself and my wife, we are similar but different. Yeah. And he allows us to embrace both of those. And then, of course, on top of that, it's increased our speaking opportunities.
Right.
so
and your bottom line.
And the bottom line. Let's not forget that. Right. Thank you so much.
Wow.
ET and team. So it's been really great.
Wow. That is so awesome. That is so awesome. And when I see you on social media and I see you doing your thing, I'm so proud, man. I know this guy. That's my dude. He's doing his thing, and to see you and your wife doing that together, is awesome. It's awesome. And now you not only do you do motivational speaking, coaching, but you also a pastor.
Absolutely.
What does that look like for you?
Yeah, so I've been doing ministry now for 24 years. Been pastoring for 17 out of 24. My wife and I actually both met in ministry. So she's been preaching since she was 14.
Wow.
And we were just kind of preaching in some of the same spaces. Eventually met. Thank you, Jesus. Right.
Right.
And so ministry has been my heart. My father's a pastor.
Yes.
So I kind of grew up in that. Ran from it, and then at some point, Jonah style was kind of like, I'm here, I'm gonna do it, and I love it. I love being able to pastor and see people again transform. Love the opportunity to rally people around causes that they may not have thought of. I love discipleship, and so I think it was really the love for discipleship in pastoring that started to allow the opportunity for coaching.
Wow,
because I think I met some people who really like preaching, and I love preaching.
Yeah.
But I really love the discipleship where you can walk with a person through their life, and coaching kind of mirrors discipleship in a lot of ways. And so I think for me, pastoring has been an opportunity to expose people again to variety. Yeah. I'm really big on, hey, this is how we do it, but this is not the only way it has to be done. Right. That they're great practices in other denominations. They're great practices outside of the church that we could be used in the church, and so bringing those things together.
And that is what living the amazing life is all about, is adding value to people. Yeah. Making, because they connected with you, their lives are better off. And then I like what you just said about, of course we're both, we're solid in our faith and our relationship with the Lord Jesus Christ. But we're open to other ideas. We're open to maybe other philosophies, may not necessarily embrace it, but I'm open enough to listen to what you got to say and respect what you believe. And I think that helps with the expanding you as a person and expanding your thought process and putting you in a better position to be more successful.
I agree. And I agree in that it allows you to reach more people. I think as soon as you become tunnel vision and say, okay, this is what I believe, this is where I am, you've just eliminated a whole group of people that you can't touch, you can't reach. And likewise, they can now influence you. Wow. So for me, to spread the gospel is to be more open-minded. Wow. And then, of course, to be able to coach and to be able to speak. You got to be. You got to be. You have to be. And I think Jesus was. I think, he does a lot. He does a lot of traveling, but at the end of the day, he was much more open-minded than the people who came before him.
And he caught a lot of criticism.
Look, he and Paul, a lot of criticism. Paul's out here screaming, Gentiles can have it too. Right. No. But he was on to something. Right. I think he was on to something. And for me, that has been the bridge between what I call ministry and marketplace. Yeah. That for me, ministry, I think there's a difference between people who are in the marketplace who do ministry and people who are in ministry who are now going into the marketplace. Wow. I do think that. Wow. I'm not even sure that's where we are. That's good. I think there's some Christians that were just authentically businessmen and businesswomen and they happen to be saved. Right. But they're doing business. So their Christianity kind of flows, but they're doing business. Right. Then I think there are those of us like myself or maybe even you who were doing ministry and figured out, wait a minute, we can take this ministry into the marketplace. Absolutely. And to do so, you have to figure out some way to be successful in the marketplace. Right. Otherwise, you're not impactful. Yeah. And whenever you think about the marketplace, whenever I think about the marketplace, I think about when Jesus went to the marketplace to get his leaders. He didn't go to the temple. He didn't go to the church. He didn't get them at a conference or a revival. Right. He went to the marketplace and got his leaders. And I think that one thing I believe, this is my philosophy when it comes to pastoral leadership or any type of ministerial leadership, is that we have to have some concept of business. Right. Because in order to build and to establish and to
put structure and systems in place. You have to understand that.
Absolutely.
You have to understand that.
Absolutely. And we live in a world that works by that, right?
Yes.
So we're in the world, not of it. But because we're in it, you have to still understand how it works. Like, what is the government going to allow? What are the building permits? You can have a huge ministry, but if you don't have anybody connected to how we can create a building or how we can fund our feeding programs, then you lose out a lot. So I think many of us have done ourselves a disservice by not tapping into learning business acumen and talking to those who are in the business sector.
The language of business.
Oh, the language is big. The language is huge. And I say that all the time. I say for some people, particularly if you're coming from ministry in the marketplace, you want to be recognized in the marketplace, and they won't even recognize you in the marketplace if you only come with ministry language and ministry lingo.
Right.
Like, you want to know the terminology.
I can't go to Atlanta Union Bank speaking in tongues.
No, you cannot.
They think they're going to fund my project.
Right. Asking for a tithe. It's not quite going to work. It's not going to work.
Yeah.
And again, even that idea takes being open.
Yeah.
Because again, if you're closed-minded, you can say, well, we prayed. Yeah, but you got to do, pray, watch and pray, right? There's some things in addition to the prayer. So it's not don't pray, but it's pray and study and build relationships and network and teach and coach and train. So I think it's a lot in there.
What is that thing that you are called to do? What is that vision you have of your life? What dreams do you have that are still ahead of you? What were you born to do? And what is your purpose? What is the purpose for your life? You need to be able to answer that, because until you really know your purpose, your life mission, your life purpose, your life vision, you're going to struggle. You're going to find yourself in a cycle. You're going to find yourself in a civil, with that war, tug of war, going back and forth. Why? Because you don't know who you are. The reason why I'm so aggressive in my business, aggressive in my ministry, because I know who I am. There was a time that I didn't know who I was. And I found myself in a place of stagnation and a place of just, going around and around. But once I got a vision or a revelation of who I am, and begin to write it down on paper. See, my mission, if you just come to ask me, Tim Harrell, what is your mission? My mission is to help others succeed in life. That is my mission.
What would you say is the difference between coaching and preaching?
So let me say that there are many similarities, right? But I think the difference is, if there was just like a one-liner with no explanation, I would say that preaching can be both motivational and informational, right? I think a good preaching moment should motivate and inform. Sometimes you get one or the other. Sometimes you get people who only inform and leave out the motivation. Some people do the motivation with no information. No information, right?
Right.
But if it's what I would consider, what we can maybe label today as a good preaching moment, you get both. Okay. I think coaching has those, but then it adds accountability. And the accountability that comes in coaching, I think, is phenomenal, because the preaching moment is this opportunity to share a message, share the gospel, transform, convict, lift up, and then people leave and have to figure out how to do it.
Right.
The coaching moment will end with, okay, now tell me exactly what you're going to do with the information. Yeah. Tell me when you're going to do it. Yeah. And what is the outcome going to be? I think the preaching is probably a much more general, large casting of the net, where the coaching is a fishing pole, and I'm going after you, and we're going to make sure you get exactly what you need when you leave. And so I don't know if they're better. There's one better than the other, as much as they do have distinct functions. Right. And again, with us doing kingdompreneurship is what I call it, right? Right. With kingdompreneurship, I think it's a combination of both. You know, I think you want to be distinct. Like in a coaching moment, coach only, right? In a preaching moment, I mean, you may be able to slide some coaching in, but let's just do this and make it what it is. Right. Yeah.
And you certify coaches.
I do.
Yeah,
I do.
And tell me the name of your coaching company.
So Max Potential Coaching and Speaking Academy.
Okay.
Yep. CMI Leadership Coaching is how we started, and so CMI actually was a campus ministry that launched back in 1900s, right? In 1998.
Right.
So old now. Like, wow, it's like in black and white.
Right.
But no, in 1998, we started campus ministry, and God got really blessed. And we had a group of college students who literally traveled all over the state with Baptist General Convention, Baptist Training Union, and we would host youth workshops. So we would come in on a Friday, we would do the teaching, do a step practice, choir, poetry. It was like a bring a youth conference to you. And so we've been doing this probably all 4 years of their college career. Mine was a little extended, so my extra 4 years. Right. Right. And so for like 8 or 9 years, I've been traveling with these groups and training them to do ministry. Then all of a sudden we grew up. And, you know, we all met one time. We had this reunion. And I was talking to everyone, and they would tell me where they were in ministry. And I was like, oh, that's great. That's phenomenal. That's great. But we had no business savvy. Like everybody was doing ministry full time, but, you know, some were still in apartments, and that's not bad. But I felt like I had done a disservice by only teaching ministry and not giving them any business sense at all.
Wow.
And so I rededicated some time. I started studying with John Maxwell. Learned the coaching industry. I took some classes in business and finance and accounting just to get the information.
Right.
And now I'm sharing that information with these college students who are now young adults with their own families who had only done ministry. And it was like, you know what? CMI has evolved. So, you know, CMI, Crown Ministries International, evolved from ministry only to ministry and marketplace.
Wow.
And that's kind of how we made the shift. And so now we are CMI leadership coaching. And since the speaking, we've added max potential. And so everything now is about maximizing your potential in coaching and speaking. We certify coaches and we teach them how to coach. But more importantly for me, we actually help them launch their coaching business.
Yeah.
You know, because I've gone through a lot of programs that were great and I learned how to coach.
Right.
And they had maybe like a section on, okay, now go start your business. And so we really specialize in, okay, now that you know how to coach, walk with them. We do it turnkey. So we help build your website, build your landing pages. We host master classes. And so at the master class, you know, we put you on stage and we record the videos. We take your photos. We do podcast interviews so that you have real content and you get the reps in.
Wow.
Right? Because we don't want the first time you coach to be on somebody. Right? You know, we want to kind of get those reps in. And it has been going well. We've seen many people, again, in ministry really kind of make that shift to marketplace. And here's our pitch. Do the ministry, but learn the marketplace, and then use the marketplace income to do low to no cost ministry.
Yeah.
That's the key.
That's good.
Right?
That's good.
Use the marketplace income to do low to no cost ministry. Now you get the money, but then you can come back and bless the church.
Yes.
Feed the community.
Right.
Buy the bikes. Pass out the books, you know. And so that's kind of the goal.
Do you like preaching better or coaching better?
Oh, that's the tough one. You said hard. I didn't know you were going there. Oh, man. So what I love about coaching is the communication one-on-one and the account. I really love the one-on-one.
Right.
But what I love about preaching is the God creativity. And at the end of the day, I'm gonna talk about Jesus, right? I do have moments in the coaching where it's kind of removed to Jesus because I'm trying to help you, and I pray that the Spirit, you know, that exists kind of exudes. Right. But I'm gonna pick preaching only because in preaching I do get to say His name. Right. But in practice, I think the coaching is really a space that impacts. I can see the impact. Let me say that. Yeah. So I'm not saying preaching doesn't have it, but I don't see it as often.
Right. How has coaching changed the game regarding helping people discover their purpose?
Oh, man. I think coaching has helped people because they finally get one-on-one. You know, I think the pulpit preaching is phenomenal. I think most churches do a great job at events and gathering groups. I don't know if churches are doing, ours included, are doing the discipleship that's necessary. And I think coaching kind of slides in and gives people life-like discipleship that may or may not be spiritual only. So I think it's changed the game because you get to walk with a person, you get to customize their solution. Right. You get to hear back from them. Yeah. You know, and they get to hear from you. You get to correct without resentment. Right. You know, so they're giving you permission to help them. Right. Where typically you're taking that permission. Right. You know, saying, I'm going to do something. I'm going to help you. And this is what you need to do. Right. But, you know, coaching does it. And some of it's because it's paid. Yeah. Right. I always say people pay attention to what they pay for.
Right. Absolutely.
You know,
that's good. What would be the outcome of every person in the church if they could experience being coached.
Oh my
God. So for example,
wow.
say a part of the new members class, you had to go through 2 or 3 coaching sessions.
Wow.
And then so we can fit you right in the church and the positions, and then even with the coaching, we would give you the personality test. Yeah. So we know exactly where you fit. In ministry.
Oh man, I think first of all, let me petition everybody to try it. Right, let's start there.
All right.
If you can add coaching to your ministry, do it. If you can add coaching to your business, do it.
Yes.
Like, I'm not saying it because we coach.
Right.
Like I have literally seen lives change through impactful coaching. So I think first of all, families would be drastically different if people were coached, because part of coaching is self-evaluation and self-awareness. And I don't know if people know themselves the way that they get to know themselves through coaching.
Right.
I think the world would be happier, you know, because people will be doing something fulfilling and not just doing something that they're forced to do.
Wow.
I think churches would be better.
Yeah.
Because now people aren't coming as consumers, but they're coming with something to give. Like, hey, I'm not here just to get what you guys have.
Right.
Like, I have something to offer. My skill, my gift, your income.
Yeah.
You know, I think coaching is fundamentally discipleship.
Yeah.
And again, I go back to, I'm not sure if people have forged discipleship.
Right.
You know? Right. I don't know if they've really done that.
Right.
I think we've had classes. I think we have discipleship classes. We have Sunday school classes. You know, churches have small groups where a group of diaconate or some leaders watch over a group. Right. But that walk with me through life, I think is missing. And coaching has kind of picked that up. Right. Coaching's picked that up.
Yeah. And that is so good. That is, man, and as you were talking and you kind of laid that out, I'm thinking how that would look for a church. Man, you know, how that would look for a church, and how easy it would be for pastoring.
Yeah, that's true. Now you're right. Now I'll say this: since I started coaching, our church does much more coach-like things than they know or than we did before. Right. So, you know, you talked about the assessment. So one of the things we do now is called GPS. So in our new members class, we have them go through GPS, and it's a 3 assessments. There's a spiritual gift assessment, a passions assessment, and a skills assessment.
Wow.
Which really essentially is coaching, right? It's a coaching assessment,
right?
We know we do small groups now, so we have like 12-member discipleship groups that are kind of like small coaching groups, and the goal is not for you to teach a Bible lesson, but for you to ask questions to help them realize their own answers. Right. So it's coaching in that way. So let me say, I think, you know, we have done much more coach-like ministry than we had before, but it goes back to me. For me, bridging gaps. Yeah. Like, I don't think the church has to be church only. I think the church can use some coaching. I think the church can use some accounting. Yeah. I think the church can use some marketing training. Right. I think the church can use some culinary gifts. You know, so for me, it's like, how do we cross sector and cross? I don't want to say contaminate. Cross. What's the word?
Bridge the gap.
Let's go with bridge the gap. Let's go with bridge the gap. How do we bridge these gaps and cross vocation?
Okay, cross vocation.
I want a cross vocation where this thing that doesn't quite fit can fit. And here's my example. I know time is short. We went on a cruise. My wife and I went on a cruise, and they had an ice skating rink on the cruise ship. And I never forgot it. Like, it was a phenomenal. But the imagery for me was, who thought to put ice on water in the ship? Like, they took something that totally was opposite of where we are. And when we got off the ship, I was like, I got to figure out how to do that in church. Like, what's so opposite of church that we can bring in? Wow. And I don't think coaching is opposite, but I do think coaching is one of those things that the church hadn't considered that I think can really bless us all. Sure.
Wow. Absolutely. That's awesome. So what's next for you? What's next? I mean, you got all this stuff going, man. And, you know, what's next? You know?
It's a good question. So the speaking has been new. You know, joining ET has been new. I just did a co-authorship with Les Brown. Okay. And so that's been big. So I've been speaking with him, but we'll also be doing a book tour with Les Brown. So that's exciting. And the speaking is different than the coaching. And so that's probably my next thing. I'm learning to not preach while I'm speaking, you know, to scale back, but still be impactful as a corporate speaker. Right. And
so, I mean, how would you do that? How would you do that? You know, Friday you're in a corporate setting, and then Sunday you're in the pulpit. How would you?
Oh man, it is different. It's similar, of course, but different. I think for me, my cadence is different when I'm speaking than when I'm preaching. Content is different.
Right, of course.
The crowd engagement is different.
Yeah.
So in the speaking environment, they may laugh, but you're not getting amen.
Right.
Nobody's standing up.
Right.
And so, you're trying to make what I think are value adds, but I can't really tell because nobody's clapping or saying anything.
Right.
So that sterile environment is totally different. That's different. And so sometimes the message is exactly the same.
It's the same.
With scripture shaved off.
Right.
Now, I will say this for those of you who may be even considering the speaking industry. One of the things I thought was really interesting is in speaking, I kind of have like 3 to 5 keynotes, and I use those same keynotes. Like I actually had somebody book me, and I asked all the questions and found out what I should speak about, and they were like, "No, just we want that same speech." Right. Like, oh, really? And so I did have to get used to doing the same speeches over and over. Where in ministry, I'm really seeking the Lord every time for a fresh word.
That is true.
In speaking, it's kind of like, no, these are the points. This is the message. Say it again. Say it again. Say it again. So,
come on, y'all, give it up for Coach Pastor Dr. Dwight Riddick.
It was great to be here, and it's always good to be in your presence. You have been a great example. I brag about you all the time. I was like, listen, this guy, I met him, and he was doing this. Now he's doing that, and he has this leadership academy for adults and for kids. Like, that's huge. And then to be able to, you are like the epitome of ministry and marketplace.
Wow.
I mean, the location, your ability to do it, the way you've traveled, and I've seen you with Sam Chan.
Yeah,
and so,
that's my dude.
Yeah, anytime I can get near you to hear leadership, I am there. So thank you for the invite.
Because when I saw you with ET, I said I won't be able to call I won't be able to call my dude no more. I gotta go through some red tapes to get a text or get an email responding back to.
Look, somebody, but not you. Not you. ET definitely raised the bar, but listen, when Apostle Tim Harrell, Coach Harrell calls, show up. That's the rule. Show up.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Well, guys, we're going to wrap up our podcast for today. We pray that you enjoyed Coach Dr. Pastor Dwight Riddick. He's a phenomenal man of God. And if anybody wanted to get in contact with you, Coach, how would they get in contact with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So my Instagram social media handles are DS Riddick and the number 2. Again, DS Riddick, number 2. Our website is dwightriddick.com. From there, you can pretty much get to most of what you would love to connect with. And, of course, if you're trying to connect through coaching, it is cmileadershipcoach.com.
Okay. All right. And we have all of it on the screen for you so that you can connect with this phenomenal man of God. I'm telling you. And so, guys, this is going to wrap our time up today. Again, it's been an honor to sit in the presence of such a great man of God. And guys, as always, all of y'all who are viewing the podcast, y'all know what time it is. It's time for you to live the amazing life. God bless you.
I hadn't even heard it, and I knew that was coming. Yes, that's good.
See y'all later.
Take care. You have a good one.